also can see additional opportunities for us to draw in people through things like the educational portion that they were talking about, or maybe special shows that they do, exhibits they were talking about that they could do, maybe extending it into the park, having like a platform like that. I thought those were really interesting parts of that proposal.
I liked that they had, I think you said 10% of their net profits would go back to the city, whether that be library or whatever civic organization. So I think that one, I liked that part the best. I agree with Audra about the national recognition. I think there's a lot of potential for events, whether it be ribbon cuttings, meet and greets with comedians, having comedians perform at the sound. Even the World of Games and the comedy school Dana talked about, I think could partner with the library really well for things like that. Whether the library did, game night that went along with the games. So I think there's a lot of potential there. They seem to have a lot of their ducks in a row as far as the financials and all of that.
Agree with a lot of what they said, of course. I like the fact that they were actually going to be closing down their existing facility and moving here, so we wouldn't have two competing locations. That makes them unique of the three. I love the way they were going to, with some of their suggestions, to partner with the Sound, Capitol Theater, with Deckard, but especially to facilities downtown.
I would echo what's been said. I like the fact that there's only one of them. They're national. There doesn't seem to be any other hall of fame. To me, it seemed like they were fairly plug and play. Like it wouldn't take a lot to modify what we've got to accommodate them. And they can almost go at almost any scale. So I thought that was a plus. I like that.
Sorry, can you repeat what you just said, that last part, for my notes?
The most brilliant part of what I said?
Just the last part.
I think it was
Plug and play.
it wouldn't take a lot to bring them in.
Okay.
Not a lot. I don't think they would have to modify things tremendously.
And I echo a lot of the comments produced for committee members. What I thought was unique, mostly was them willing to close their existing facility. Also, too, they mentioned during their presentation that they would employ museum staff and people who work for the museum or contractors, or that they would be Clearwater citizens. I don't know how feasible that would be, but at least I liked how they were thinking locally and to support our local citizens. And I also like their offer for profits back to the city, percentage. And they have, according to the presentation, they have worked with libraries in the past, and they have track record.
Echoing much of what's been said, they definitely emphasize the annual induction into the Comedy Hall of Fame, and the publicity, the free national publicity that brings the city, and potential events that surround that, and minimal cost probably to get them up and running.
I think it brings a lot of mass appeal and public draw to venue like that, especially with the chances of larger stars and young folks into the Hall of Fame. And I could also see too is there was a discussion about having shows at the Big Hair as well, but I think the economy itself would have opportunities to connect more with the community in smaller venues, kind of as this would go. And I can kind of see that what may not fit there, but would be easily fit in another venue within the area.
think they said
Civic.
engagement,
Right.
so.
Not necessarily not-for-profit, they can use it by organizations or.
Yeah, but the cities would get to decide, correct?
Correct, yes, they said council.
City.
Yes, city.
But you're right, civic, thank you.
All right, we'll move back around for, concerns. Audra?
I think that the slight concern I have is just making sure that they keep up with the modern comics and making sure they're able to collect that type of memorabilia, because that's an opportunity to have repeat visitation for new exhibits that come in with more modern comics.
My concern, and I think this is fixable, their social media presence, their marketing strategies. I think hiring somebody to do that for them to really get the word out. Those are my biggest concerns. And their slight concern would just be how big of a draw this is. Just because maybe I personally have never heard of it, doesn't mean other people don't go to this. That would be just my concern.
Right, my main concerns are very similar. When I asked the question about more modern, current generation comedians, their answer was not that great. And the draw, given that it's fairly niche.
Pretty niche.
Even everyone laughed when they said that.
That's true. Well, yeah, my main concern would be about the overall concept getting stale. Like, I don't know how they rotate out exhibits. There's a lot of, how do you rotate out Penny Pearl or Jack Benny or having Costello? Those are always going to be there to have that. So I'd be worried about it going stale, not kind of keeping up. Like you go once and that's it. Like the Dali, they have their main exhibit. They've always got a rotating exhibit that they change out twice a year or something.
I have the exact same concern as you. That it is a very static, or it seems to be a very static exhibit. My other concern, I think Tara, mentioned it, is a lot of more modern meetings. Will be important, and they're a little big on the cash flow projection, and their marketing.
I had really some major concerns with the financial information. One that wasn't provided, the proposal included a required 10-year pro forma. With our follow-up questions, we again asked for a 10-year pro forma. We did not receive that. Additionally, we questioned about the profit sharing. The estimate of annual profit that was provided to us was $500,000 to arrive at the $50,000 that would be available for the committee's civic purposes. Their revenue projection is $960,000. So they're basically saying they're going to have $500,000 worth of profit on $960,000 worth of sales. That is very different than any other pro forma we've seen from the other proposals. And at that level of profit, to be asking us to cover the utilities and not charge rent doesn't make sense. So something's wrong, and without the 10-year pro forma, we don't have any way to analyze that to see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Additionally, the original proposal indicated that they would be open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Significant number of hours. Calculates to about 5,100 hours a year. In what we got today, as far as revised information, they said that they corrected those hours to 5 days a week, 9 to 5:30, with the availability on Monday and Tuesday for tours. But it's a very significant decrease in the number of hours they're gonna operate, but they didn't change their projected revenues. They're still gonna have 80,000 visitors a year, even though they cut back the hours significantly. So again, without the pro forma information, it's not making sense. So I don't have a comfort level with what we have been providing.
I think, one piece within the presentation that was just presented, we kind of talked about, was kind of an issue, was the equivalent advertising numbers from the PR marketing side. They did away with that, I think, a little bit over 10 years ago. So that's a really tough number that is, I think, irrelevant in the presentation side of it, because it's not a standard that's used anymore. But with that said, I think the live show idea with, say, Rebecca Hall, Make Care Sound would be great, but especially with the modern comedians, there's restrictions on contracts by who can perform at the venues. So if, a well-known comedian that they want to come, wants to come to daycare, but can't because they use a specific company like the tour, then that just completely, lost the chance for, say, that comedian to come in. I just think that could be a challenge to think about, bringing in large events.
Any other information for Comedy Hall of Fame? Nope. All right, then we'll do your rankings. So rankings are 1, 2, and 3. Again, the lower the number, that would be considered your number 1. So whoever overall has the lower score is the higher. So Audra, for Comedy Hall of Fame, what is your score? 1, 2, or 3? Yes.
Can we defer to wait till we discuss all 3?
Sure.
And then rank?
Somebody can get more information.
Okay, that's fine.
Ranking.
Okay. All right. So then we'll do the Imagine Museum, and then we'll just do it all together. So if you want to share your pros and cons, we'll do it that way. So we'll start at your end. We'll start at your end this time.
So I think the Imagine Museum, I think it's timeless. They have to offer. It's really an unusual thing to go see. It's not like a typical, museum where you're going to expect, your typical paintings or typical, furniture things. I think that having that level of, uniqueness to a venue would just be potentially, very sought after for people who want to go see it. I think it's certainly a benefit to stronger things. Oh, okay. But I think with that said, I think it would be really challenging to bring new visitors into the area. If somebody's going to come from outside of the area to Tampa Bay, would they want to go to both? So, what else would draw somebody to, the space here, if that other space is in St. Petersburg, and are there other venues and things that would draw somebody to that location? I think that having both those locations would be really big challenge trying to overcome.
I like they have a proven business model that appears to be successful. They described a lot of community engagement in the St. Pete area that I saw as real positive. They had the same level of involvement in Clearwater. To true, the request for proposals was looking for cultural art type museums or entities, and definitely fits that bill. Probably on the weakness side, the wow factor side of it, and speaking of what Rob is how they can make it attractive and dynamic enough to draw the level of visitors that we'd like to see coming through there. But made it, it got a successful business model currently, so that has lent some credibility to it. They did have some cost numbers that changed when they provided the 10-year pro forma. They did not provide that 10-year pro forma up front, and some of the year one costs did change in the pro forma when they provided it, but it wasn't anything that's significant other than the salary costs went up significantly from what their original estimates were. But they still are showing a profitable pro forma that is sustainable.
Obviously, they have an established museum that appears to be very profitable and popular. I like that their admission is relatively low, I believe it's at $10, which is less than their St. Pete location. I also liked that they talked a lot about promoting and sponsoring community events in the downtown. And then they partnered with the some of the challenges, again, like Jay and some between when they submitted their presentation, their formal proposal or their presentation, there was some cost changes. Again, my concern is having two locations close together in proximity. Will the perception be that they're both the same, that same museum, same art? So this is the perception. And then two, I know they preferred their option number two, which is the first and third floor. They said they were open to option number one, but how would that impact their goals?
Once again, I'll echo, it was said, I'm glad, Jay, you're looking at the numbers. Kind of got lost a little bit there, so appreciate that. I think that and I haven't been to this museum, but I've been to the Chihuly. It's beautiful stuff, slick looking stuff. I think people will come see it, but I'm still worried that we be like the satellite museum rather than like the museum. I'm not expecting us to be the main event, but equal footing. So I do have that concern that we be sort of like the offshoot. That would be my main concern.
I have been to one in St. Pete. It's lovely. They told us the existing is 34,000 square feet, and option two is 28,000. So it's pretty darn close. So it's kind of both a plus and minus. St. Pete has become like the museum destination type of area, in my opinion. I like the glass coast. It does appear that that's happening with all the glass Chihuly. So I think I'm hopeful there's some great potential. We could just kind of piggyback on all of that. But then it could also be a concern. It's kind of two-sided. It could also be a concern that why would someone build both? I thought a plus is they have part of that museum pass things. It's got great explorations and a handful of other local museums that are part of that pass. So I thought that was a great idea. I really liked that they said they would handle all the design and construction. They were the only one to really address security. I think that would meet the needs appropriately. That's all I have.
I agree with what others have said. I don't know if this is a plus or minus, but 60% of their funding comes from private funding. So I'm guessing that's why they can keep the ticket sales for $10, because that seems pretty low. And I appreciate that for our citizens, but also I don't even with option one, compared to the other two, there was a lot more to take over, quote unquote, the library, like the workspace and the meeting rooms and stuff that would have to be retrofitted and outfitted, so that's my comment on that. I do think it's beautiful, I do think the draw, I don't have as much of a problem with it being a satellite museum. Maybe others would say good, but, you're right, I don't know if people are coming here for that. This might just be something that brings people from Clearwater Beach to come. I don't know if you're in St. Pete, so I don't know if you're here to also go to that museum.
I thought they had a very thorough, well put together presentation. They did think through all the different aspects of what we were asking for. They have an extensive collection. Seems like it's very popular. I like the fact that they said that they would be open to integrating into things in, downtown events and so forth. But I do share the same concerns that several of you had about it being a satellite location. And that's why I asked the question about how would they mix up the pieces. And I did like their response that, they have thousands of pieces, so it would be original art that they would bring in here. But again, someone on vacation, if they choose to go to one, do they want to go to both? So that's really my concern.
Any other comments?
Say I do like the fact that they would do open calls to local artists, have local artists part of that.
And I like, they gave some good specific examples of how they collaborated with the city of St. Pete and their local, all the different local, specific type associations down there.
The Wizard of Oz Museum. Go back to Audra.
Wizard of Oz is very popular. It's long running in its history, and right now, in particular, between Wicked and Sphere in Vegas, it's definitely an attractor. I was interested in learning more about the pieces that they have. He explained that he has one of the pairs of the original ruby slippers. I thought that was a pretty cool draw. I did wish that their presentation included more imagery, so we could really see the extent of the collection. I found it hard to really grasp the magnitude of what maybe they do have in their possession that could be in the library. So that left me wanting to learn more, but not feeling like we really have full understanding of what it is that they have.
I would agree. I like this proposal on paper. The proposal today was more about mashing up two museums. I didn't really understand it because I wanted more insight on the actual Wizard of Oz museum. And then there were some other questions that were brought up about signage, giant LED signs that are not going to be possible. So how does this affect the overall view? I do like some of the photo opportunities. I really liked in the original proposal the interactive portion of the museum. I think that was a big attractor. I have more questions.
Yes, for the positives, again, the immersion, with Sphere is amazing. I think that is a unique and great draw for here. I love that they were so excited about the high ceiling, because that is an excellent point, again, kind of like the Sphere. But I think their presentation was too vague. I have a lot of questions. The whole partnering with the second museum hadn't been vetted out in any fashion. There was no prior conversations, so I thought that was odd to spend so much time on that. An interesting idea, but it's just, I'm not sure if it could come to fruition because of the lack of prior conversations. So that was concerning. Another plus, again, what Audra said is that it, has very broad appeal for many years. There's so many books, again, with Broadway and the movies, and so I think that's interesting. But also a big concern on that second location and the depth of their collection would be able to support too.
I thought the concept of the was also a little concerned about the desire to have some sort of say over tenants that the city can engage to come into our own building. And it was a little, I presented as, are you looking for veto voting or merely advisory? It seemed to vacillate a little bit, but I have concern about that. If we presume that we don't have say in how we use the rest of the buildings, that might be something deal breaker or an issue. That's about it.
I share the same, similar thoughts. My colleagues here, Wizard of Oz is, who doesn't know about Wizard of Oz, whether the books, the movie, the play, it's universal. I was a little concerned about when we started comparing his museum with Imagine. I was a little confused. And then when he proposed today during the presentation, working with Imagine in his building, so that again was a little confusing and needs to be thought out a lot more. I am concerned that he mentioned about taking out needing a financial loan for the second location, and the second location is another concern. Is it sustainable? And then he did mention that, correct me if I'm wrong, if he has one piece of memorabilia and one museum, he can't have it in the other. So I don't know if that will provide limitations. And then my last concern was he mentioned parking being a factor. And mentioned that there could be an older demographic that needs parking close by campus. But he also offered an alternative to shuttles or transportation to here. So I made note that he mentioned parking.
Okay, as far as strengths, the fact that they're currently a successful, well-rated operation, he pointed out the TripAdvisor ratings and the high rating they have there, so they're obviously able to create a positive customer experience. That's recognized, so that's a positive. The immersive experience kind of provides the wow factor that probably contributes to those ratings. And another positive was they did provide the, at least as far as the rent lease payment goes, they provided the most return to the city over the 10-year pro forma. On the negative side, concerns about the two locations, and some mention, I think, a central location, and which location would be the central versus, I guess, a satellite location, and which artifacts would be, or which exhibits would be at the central location versus the other. And I kind of got the impression from the discussion that our ability to provide parking and or shuttle service could impact, and along with our signage issues, could impact whether we were the central location or a lesser satellite location. So, one other issue was we had asked about the projector costs because it was mentioned in the proposal that they had some significant capital outlay needs for projectors for the immersive experience. We asked a follow-up question as to how much that would be. And we also asked why the 10-year pro forma, which had a specific line item that said capital projectors, was all zeros. We got a response that the cost was $250,000 up front, and in the presentation it was shared that would be a complete replacement of the projectors that last 3 to 4 years. That being absent from the pro forma, my expectation is that's going to be a capital request to us. We can, all of that's negotiable, but I did see that as kind of a missing piece of the pro forma that was fairly significant that offset some of that least income that looks good in comparison to the others, because we're providing that kind of money up front and throughout the 10 years, that kind of offsets the revenue received to the city.
I think Wizard of Oz is definitely one of a kind. There's not anything anywhere close to it. It's so easily recognizable. It's an icon. And I think, hearing about, the extensive collection that they have, with really limited competition, I think outside of themselves, certainly, I think it's great, but also, partially that has come up about how do you, compete with yourself. But I really like how there was at least an openness to a partnership if that would come at the beginning of later on down the road, to recognize that they don't feel as if they are either in competition or threat with another type of museum or other type of business there. But I did feel like a lot of the presentation was focused on the partnership. It felt like a very different experience than I think the initial proposal that we received. And I think would have been previously discussed or brought together with an interesting discussion. There was a concern about low-income, unhoused people that would be in the area, concerned about digital ratings, and that's just a fact of life, especially as you get into specific areas. It's being in a public space, like a library, it will attract those people. And I think that's just going to be very difficult to get around. It's just a part of life. Some of the parking, Michelle, et cetera, could be a challenge, but the Wizard of Oz isn't subtle. I think this is the other part, which is I think it's the greatest strength, but also could be weakness because of the challenges and limitations of the signage. So you have all of this really incredible material, really incredible space for people to go see it, but there's limitations on how it can be advertised, and I think in a way you can imagine that the Emerald City kind of advertised and the signage that they proposed, but it's restricted. You can't do that. So how effective would that be with limitations of signage? I think that's a positive fact.
I also had concern when I read the response to our questions that they would be seeking additional funding from the county for marketing, and that was not secured, and that was something that was a need.
Yeah, Jay, what was the return to the city number? Or the,
I don't have it in front of me. And I think it was deferred for 3 or 4 years, and then they started paying. Off the top of my head, I thought it was in the neighborhood of more than $50,000 a year, maybe $80,000. But don't quote me on that. But more substantial than what we've seen on the others. But again, deferred. I don't think it started until like year 4 of operations.
That's
Any other comments on any of the presentations?
Did someone already mention the high entrance fee for Wizard of Oz?
That's a concern.
That's a concern.
Yeah, I looked at reviews, and that did seem to be a sticking point for a lot of people was the $30 to get in, and then sometimes the verse wasn't working. I mean, there's a lot of great reviews, but the ones that weren't that great, like, it's $30. What's the return of that price to get in? Because that's going to get into the, I think you may mention the values there, 228, 32. If you're kind of resident or not, so it's kind of in that area. Only mention it, so there it's
Let me just verify, our number 3 is our top, or number 3 is our bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom.
One should
Got it,
first
thank you.
first.
And based on our rankings, is it only one then that would move forward to be presented to council, or is there a possibility of more?
Correct.
All three finalists are gonna have the opportunity to present to council as part of that. Their wheelable recommendation.
So Audra, we'll start with you. You can tell me who your number 1, number 2, number 3.
My number 1 is the Comedy Hall thing, my number 2 is Imagine, and my number 3 is the Wizard of Oz.
Really hard. I'm gonna go the same. Number 1, Comedy Hall of Fame. Number 2, Imagine. Number 3, Wizard of Oz.
My number 1 is Imagine, 2, Comedy Hall of Fame, and 3, Wizard of Oz.
I went, in order there, Comedy Hall of Fame is 1, Imagine is 2, Wizard of Oz is 3.
My number 1 is the Imagine Museum, my number 2 is the Wizard of Oz Museum, and my number 3 is Comedy.
One is Imagine, 2 is Wizard of Oz Museum, and 3 is Comedy Hall of Fame.
Number 1 is